Engaging in regular exercise is good for you for many reasons, and one of them is to lower your risk of getting breast cancer. Many studies conducted over the past 20 years have shown consistently that an increase in physical activity is linked to a lower breast cancer risk. What happens then when just exercising is uncomfortable and painful, especially when running as a lady?
It's actually quite a difficult thing to shop for because a lot of the companies either only do online as well, and it's not something you can try on. And if you do go to Sportsman's or wherever, so like it's really difficult for bigger sized women breasts to actually find a running bra. So I've had my one that I absolutely love, and then the company discontinued it, and to try and find one again that's the same is really, really hard.
This discomfort has been studied and can lead to a condition called Joggers breast.
Essentially, it's a bit of a because of the repetitive nature of running. So it's essentially repetitive trauma to the breast tissue, and that's from running and the movements of the breast, and that can essentially result in a little bit of permanent damage to the breast tissue, and there are these tiny little ligaments within the breast and within the breast tissue that is called Cooper ligaments, and those essentially just then get elongated over time, and so that kind of then results in breast dropping or sagging, and that's permanent, it's irreversible. And then also, something that happens quite often is a lot of breast pain. I mean, there's something like 30 to 40% of female runners report breast pain, but never actually end up doing anything about it. And so, they just kind of power through, or like you say, stop running, or it hinders them from running. And so, that's essentially what that is. The way they've studied the movements of breasts in the past has always been in like a two-dimensional sort of aspect. They've just studied it in that sort of plane. And that they've always sort of said then that the breasts move up and down and side to side. But the breasts also move forward and backwards, okay? And so a lot of the newer studies have now been done in a 3D kind of motion analysis. And they've actually found that your running pace doesn't matter. So they see that the breasts move somewhere between 10 to 12 centimeters, which is a lot. And the difference between running really fast versus running very slowly it's not significant. Of course there is a difference, but it's not dramatically significant. And so that's often a mistake female runners make, because they go, oh, well, I'm just actually heading out for, a gentle stroll. But there is always movements, where obviously as you go a little bit faster, it will get worse, but we should always be looking at putting in the right sort of support when we're doing any kind of activity.
Companies and retailers understand the need for support, but mostly are informed by the comfort of their customers.
The only thing with the elastic is it was a little narrower and it was a little bit tough. It wasn't as soft as this one. So I made it a little bit wider and softer. Because while you're running, you need more support. Seeing that I'm a lady, I know you want something firm. So at least the material itself stick to your skin, and you feel more comfortable while running in it. You don't need to struggle that you don't feel comfortable. What's the use in having comfortable running shorts or whatever, but you're not comfortable as a lady underneath? So that's why I will recommend this, actually, for the runners.
The lack of correct equipment has another consequence.
Do you think that there is enough knowledge for runners out there and for women specifically around choosing the correct sports bra?
No, there isn't. So we need some info on that to provide women, to tell them what they must use, and but I don't think there is anything out there.
Some big-breasted ladies are actually put off the sport a little bit because there's not actually this very important equipment available to them.
Probably, or they're running with the wrong bras because they just find something that just works quickly and they're like, oh, this is fine, I'll just use it.
Sports scientist, coach and runner herself, Shauna Hendrickson, says the key to choosing the right equipment is a Goldilocks conundrum.
Yeah, and I just, let me just say this, because in these instances where they're talking around breast pain, they actually did a study where they looked at meds, using medication versus using the right equipment and the right sports bra. And the sports bras came on top every single time. So, and I just don't think we really emphasize to our young girls how important being in the right sport. I can't even remember when I switched from, running in a normal bra into a sports bra. And so that is really, really key. So yeah, what is the right sports bra? It needs to be something that allows for comfort, and obviously this breast health and really performance. Like you say, we need to ensure that we are running comfortably, and when we run comfortably, we run better. And so there's two types of sports bras that you're probably going to get. You're either going to get a sports bra that's like a compression bra. Those are the ones that really, there's no sort of cup and it's just a compression. Or you get a sports bra that's an encapsulation. So that's where it's got two separate cups. And that will then, those are really the differences. And the general recommendation is that as a smaller breasted woman, so a C cup down, you could almost just go on preference as to what you feel more comfortable in. But if you're almost C or D cup up, you want to go for that bra that's got the encapsulation in, because then it just really gives your breast a lot of support. And there's a couple of different sort of aspects that you can go into. I always see female athletes, and not just runners, but female athletes make the mistake, I think, where they almost going where the chest band is too large because they feel like it kind of constricts them, and then the breast cup is too small. So that's the biggest mistake that we see people making. And so a couple of tick points, maybe let me just go that. If you're going out and buying a sports bra, you want to make sure that the chest band is tight, but not too tight. Obviously, this sounds like, keeping something tight, but not too tight. You almost want to be able to put 1 to 2 fingers in that chest band, so that it's not too tight. But you also don't want it to be too loose that it's riding up your back. That's a big mistake I see people making. Because what they land up doing is they're constantly trying to just tighten the strap, and then it rides up their back, right? So this is really where you're going to get most of your support from, which is in the chest strap. So that's the first thing that you want to look at, or your chest band. The second thing you want is obviously the straps to be, preferably if the straps can be sort of movable, or that you can change the size of those. That's good, because very often our breasts are different sizes, so you want to be able to make sure that one is perhaps tighter than the other. And then in the cup, it's really important, you just want to avoid any of that breast bulge. If that is happening, then that cup is too small for you. Or if the cup has wrinkles, then obviously it's too big. And that's really where I see the biggest sort of errors or things that you should think about when you are going out to buy a sports bra.
Barriers to entry in the sport, which is said to be the most accessible in the world, is price and cost of this essential piece of women's equipment. According to leading exercise app Strava, last year, women led the 33% increase in activity. What a pity if lack of knowledge and equipment was keeping some ladies out of the fun. For Newzroom Afrika, I'm Valen Kirtley.